Welcome to the channel, or welcome back. I'm Taylor. Number 1, protect our future. This is the most important and our first priority, which is protecting the future health and wealth of my wife and I. This means doing things like maxing out our own retirements and focusing on our investments, even if this means from time to time that the other items on the list take a back seat. The last thing that I would want is for our son and our other future children to grow up knowing that they'll have to provide for us financially. Another piece in that is that I'm buying a term life insurance policy. I am currently the sole provider for our family, and should anything happen to me while we are young, they will be protected. And when the policy expires in, let's say, 20 years, my investments will have plenty of time to have compound to be a safety net all on their own. Number 2, practice good financial energy. It is so crucial to understand that money is not just a tool for transactions. It is energy. Money is emotional. And the way that our parents think, act, and talk about money have a huge impact on us as children, but even well into adulthood. So I am the youngest of 3 children. My parents are very entrepreneurial, and it wasn't until about 5 years ago, when I was a full-grown adult, that I learned my parents really struggled with money when we were young. In their words, they lived off of credit cards. Now fast forward 20 years later, and they are very successful in their business. Now everyone at some point in their life is going to struggle with money, especially when you have young kids. But now, because of how my parents were with money, if ever I have an issue with money, I can sit down, make a plan, and fix it, and it causes me very little stress in doing so. I truly believe that's because I saw firsthand, I lived it, I experienced it, that it's possible to make a plan and fix it if you just do the work. But what if, same financial problems as we were younger, but instead my parents fought about money, they told me we couldn't afford things, that they were struggling, they blew every last dollar on unnecessary things. I would have embodied that myself, most likely experienced that in my adulthood, at the very least spent years trying to unlearn the habits that I grew up around. So that's not to say that you shouldn't talk to your kids about money, because I actually think that you should, but at the very least, having a positive energy or a we have a plan mindset, I think is so huge. Starting now, we're investing in a 529 plan for our future children's education expenses. A 529 plan is an investment account that allows you to use the funds for things like tuition, books, grade school, vocational schools, things like that. Now, I wasn't really sure that we were ever going to use this account, but I did decide to take the jump, and I want to tell you why. Number 1, the funds grow tax-free, assuming again that they are used for education expenses. Number 2, in my state of Arizona, I get a $4,000 tax deduction every single year for contributing into this account, but be sure to check with your state for those details. Number 3, a big one, the beneficiary can change. So if we set this up for our son, but we have multiple kids or we want to use it for grandkids, if the funds are unused, they can still be used later for somebody else. And number 4, the Secure 2.0 Act. It works like this. Starting in 2024, up to $35,000 of assets in a 529 plan can be rolled over into the beneficiary's Roth IRA. Now, in order to do this, the 529 plan has to be open for a minimum of 15 years, and the last 5 years of contributions and gains don't qualify. That's why we're starting on this right away. And the other thing is the rollover of that $35,000 cannot exceed the annual contribution limit. As of 2024, that's $7,000, which means it would take 5 years to roll over the full $35,000 into that account. And I actually don't mind that at all. I'd love to set up something like a 401k account for my child. So let's say when he turns 16 or 18 and he gets a job, for every $1 that he saves from his paycheck, we'll tell him that we'll roll over $1 into his Roth IRA. Something like that to kind of get the mindset running. We have opened an additional brokerage account in my name with the intention of the funds being used for my son and for our other future children. So although this is a brokerage account, the taxes will be a little bit higher. The funds can be used for anything, there's no limit, and unlike a custodial account, when he turns 18, the funds don't automatically go to him. He actually never needs to know about this account. So depending on where your child is at that point in their life, it can be a little bit safer. Number 5, a custodial Roth IRA. Now, if you've seen my content on these other channels, then you know that I am a huge fan of a Roth IRA. A Roth IRA does not have an age requirement, but it does require earned income. Fortunately, I have a business. That means I can hire my son even in his infancy to do things like model in my videos. Maybe I'll do some baby gear brand deals, or similar to this video here where I featured him for how much you need to invest every single month to make your baby a millionaire. I can actually pay him from my business for his services, and he can use those funds to invest in a Roth IRA. Even if you don't have a business, some other ways that your child can have genuine earned income is maybe doing lawn work for your neighbors, babysitting, things like that. So let's say I can invest $500 per month into his Roth IRA until he is 18. Assuming a return of 8%, he'll have $240,000 in that account, which is crazy. Even crazier still, if we didn't invest another penny after he turned 18, but we left it to compound until he was 30, he'd have over $630,000 inside the account. If we waited until 45, he'd have $2.1 million. And if we held it until he was 60, he'd have a whopping $6.9 million inside that account, all for doing some work that he did as a child. Number 6, put him on payroll. Now, similar to number 5, but when he turns about 7 or so, I can actually put him on payroll on my business, assuming that he is doing genuine work. Now, as of right now, I'm assuming these numbers will change though. I could pay him up to $14,600 from my business. This number is important for a couple reasons. Number 1, because this is a business expense, it is tax deductible from my business. Number 2, as of 2024, $14,600 is the standard deduction, so assuming that I do not exceed that amount, then he will not pay any federal income tax. Number 3, again, there is now earned income, so he can invest $7,000 of that into his Roth IRA, and the remaining of that funds can be used like different savings accounts, brokerage accounts, things like that. Now, there is a catch. I have an S-Corp, and if I were to pay him directly from my S-Corp, then he would not be exempt from different FICA or federal unemployment taxes. But there's a workaround. I can actually open another sole proprietorship LLC as a family management company. The sole purpose of this company would be to oversee the work that my son is doing inside my S-Corp. So this management company can actually charge my S-Corp a fee, which then is later passed down to my son. So the management company is actually paying him through a single member sole proprietor LLC, so therefore he is exempt from those taxes. As always, please check with a tax professional before you set anything like this up. Number 7, add him as an authorized user on our credit cards. Payment history makes up 35% of your credit score. So if we put him on now, by the time he's 18, he'll have 18 years of positive credit history. This means when he wants to rent an apartment or buy a car, buy a house, he'll already have great credit. The best part is I never even have to give him the physical credit card. Now, a few things to consider. Number 1, only do this if you have strong credit. Putting him on your credit card actually helps leach the positive credit history into his name, but if you have poor or even fair credit, you're not going to want to do this. Number 2, there are different age requirements for the bank to report the credit history onto the child's account. American Express, for example, does not report until the child is 13. But banks like Citi, Chase, and Capital One have no age requirements, so we're obviously putting him on one of those accounts. And number 8, Airline Loyalty. Now, when my son is 2, we're going to be required to buy him a plane ticket every time we travel. So starting at the age of 2, I'm going to make him a loyalty member of the various airlines that we fly. This means he'll be accruing miles so that he can redeem them for free travel when he is older. Now, do understand that some miles expire, but as of right now, Delta Sky Miles, United Mileage Plus, Southwest Rapid Rewards, Hawaiian Miles, and JetBlue points do not expire. Now, I want to make something really clear here. Although I think it is so important to set up these financial aspects for our son, they are by far the least important thing that I hope to teach and provide him. Values of love, respect, empathy, emotional intelligence, a hard work ethic are all things that triumph everything on this list. Because our ultimate job as parents is to raise the best human possible, which is actually where all of this comes in. Because money is not going to make him a better friend, a better son, a better future partner, but money does provide opportunities. So by following this financial blueprint, what I really hope is to create the space for him to pursue whatever it is in life that may interest him. So if I can do these small things now that remove the burden of money in his future, then I absolutely will. If he can go to a good school, drive a safe car, buy a modest house in a safe neighborhood, pursue his entrepreneurial spirits, hell, even become a teacher or work in sanitation, but his future is secured, I'm going to absolutely do that. Ultimately, I believe a key factor in the growth of him into a better human is to remove as many obstacles as possible. And as a parent, there's not really that much that I can do, but the financial aspects, I can. By alleviating any concerns about money, he can explore various pursuits, have confidence in his future, and I hope find fulfillment. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found value in this video. If you're still here, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. I'll see you next time.